Hello, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday with NAMI Greater Houston. Today, we are here with our friend Matt Backer, who is going to teach us how to meditate and the benefits of meditation. So, I am going to get out of Matt's way so that he can teach and also so that I can learn. Enjoy, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is an exciting opportunity. I'll just go ahead and get started. I've been diagnosed with bipolar 1, and my mind sometimes feels like it's out of control. When I'm manic, I get strange ideas that I think are very important, and they usually get me in trouble. And then when I'm depressed, I have a lot of negative thoughts, like that I'm not good enough, or just painful memories. And meditation has had the most significant impact on calming my mind than any other technique that I've tried. Meditation has had an impact not only on my state of mind, but also on my relationships and my work. I've meditated for a few weeks here and a few weeks there over the past couple of decades, and I've been meditating for a few weeks this time as well, but I'm hoping to stick with it this time. I learned about a group called Insight Meditation Houston, and they meet every week, and they meditate together, and then they talk about Buddhist ideas. I'm interested in Buddhism, but you don't have to be a Buddhist to attend the meetings. You also don't need to be interested in Buddhism to meditate. So while Insight Meditation Houston may not be right for you, I recommend that you develop some kind of a process to keep going with any technique that you want to use to work on your mental health. And meeting with other people, even just one other person who's interested in the technique, can be a really good strategy for keeping a technique going. One strategy is to teach your kids about mindfulness. I'm doing this with my daughter. I got a workbook that we work on together every few days. It helps me to try to model mindfulness for my daughter, and I think this helps keep me motivated. So what can meditation do for you? A lot of people think that meditation is about emptying your mind, and this isn't really true. Meditation is about practicing your concentration and learning to appreciate the present moment. I found that I enjoy life more when I meditate. For example, I walk my dog, and now I don't really see it as a chore. I see it as an opportunity to appreciate the fresh air, enjoy my surroundings, and I often notice myself appreciating how good the breeze feels. I've also found that I'm a better listener. So instead of thinking about what I'm going to say next while the other person's talking, I really concentrate on what they're actually saying. And I found that I'm better able to focus at work. So like I'm able to stick with a task and stay focused for longer. And I used to be a pretty irritable person, always like finding things to get annoyed about. And while this still happens to some extent, it happens much less. I'm more likely to find something to appreciate rather than get annoyed about now. And even if I do get annoyed, I'm much less likely to act on it. I'm more likely to like take a few breaths and just calm myself down. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about how to meditate. First, I wanted to let you know that I'll be leading you through a 5-minute meditation in a few moments, and I'll ask you to journal after the meditation. So you may want to get a pen and paper or open a word processing application now. So how do you meditate? It's really pretty simple. You just find a comfortable and quiet place to sit. I sit in a chair. I think a lot of people think of like the lotus position, which is a very difficult position to adopt, I find. But yeah, just sitting in a chair is fine. You should do your best to sit with your back straight and not lean your back against the chair back. The advice that I read that I found the most helpful about the back is to imagine that there's a string attached to the top of your head, and that string is like gently pulling your back straight. Then you begin to focus on your breath. Other people focus on different things, like you can repeat a mantra, which is a saying that you like, but I prefer focusing on the breath because I think this tunes you into your body. And I think the more we work on the connection between our minds and our bodies, the more we appreciate the present and the happier we'll be. So you should be taking fairly deep breaths, but you shouldn't be trying hard to take deep breaths. The breaths should be both deep and comfortable. Some people breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, but I find this distracting. I just breathe through my nose while I'm meditating. Ideally, you'll be entirely inflating your lungs. This means your belly should rise and fall as you breathe. At the start, you may find it helpful to actually hold your hand or both hands over your belly so you can feel it rise and fall. Now, I'm positive that thoughts will occur to you when you meditate. It's a normal part of meditation. And the thoughts are a distraction from your concentration on your breath. So you should try to let the thoughts pass through your mind, then turn your attention back to your breath. It can be helpful to count your breaths. If you do, the counting is like a simple thought that will keep your mind occupied and prevent you from thinking about something more distracting. And when you're counting, you should count up to 10 and then go back to 1 and just keep counting up to 10. The reason for this is that if you count higher, it leads to other thoughts, like you might start thinking about how high you counted the last time you meditated and whether you'll be able to count higher this time. And, all of that is just a distraction from your concentration. I've read a couple of helpful metaphors for dealing with thoughts while you're meditating. One is to imagine that you're sitting at the side of a highway, and just as the cars pass by through your vision and then they disappear, so the thoughts pass through your mind and you just let the thoughts go, just in the same way that the thoughts disappear. Another technique is to imagine that you're standing on a bridge overlooking a river, and that the debris in the river, like tree branches, just is a thought, right? And it passes, you watch it pass underneath you and disappear beneath the bridge, just in the same way that you allow the thought to kind of disappear from your mind once it's passed. There's one other technique and this is the one that I actually use the most, is where you just label the thought. You recognize a thought in your head and you just kind of label it as a thought. You think the word thought, and then that helps me to let go of the thought. And this is useful too. And if you have a feeling while you're meditating, you can recognize the feeling as a feeling, label it, and let it pass. You may come up with your own metaphor, or you may find an entirely different technique for dealing with thoughts. The main idea is just to let the thoughts go and return your focus to your breath. Recognize that your thoughts are irrelevant to what you're doing, right? The thoughts should have no impact on your state of mind. Meditation is similar to lifting weights in a way, except instead of exercising your muscles, you're exercising your concentration. Every time you bring your attention back to your breath is like lifting a weight. It's an exercise of concentration. So I recommend starting with 5 minutes of meditation. I increased that to 10, and now I'm up to about 15. I'm trying to get to 30 because that's how long they meditate for at Insight Meditation Houston, but honestly, I don't know if I'll ever get there. It's 15 minutes is tough for me. So when your timer goes off, it's helpful to take a minute to notice how you're feeling. Like if you have a positive feeling, which I think you probably will after meditating, it's a good idea to take a moment and think that you want to carry this positive feeling with you throughout the day. You can choose to meditate at any time during the day. Some people meditate in the evening or at night to help them sleep better. I like to meditate early in the morning because I feel like it sort of starts me off on the right foot for the day. I've noticed that I'm frequently focusing on my breath throughout the day. In the past, I would be worrying about my work or maybe about something that I said that I'm embarrassed about. But now I just kind of concentrate on my belly rising and falling rather than letting my mind wander. When my mind wanders, it's generally unproductive, and it often makes me feel bad about myself. Focusing on my breath instead helps me to practice concentration and helps me tune into the present moment. Okay, so now that you've heard from me, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts or experiences about meditation. In a minute, we're going to be actually meditating. So now would also be a good time for questions. I know there's just a couple of you here, but I welcome any thoughts or questions at this time. And if you're more comfortable, you can type it into the chat.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
I'm with San Jacinto College. I'm a partner agency with NAMI, and I teach substance use disorder and mental health. I've been doing yoga for years and mindfulness and meditation, but it's always so wonderful to have somebody else lead it. And so I'm just super excited to be here and to be led in meditation by you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing.
I did send this out to all of my students too, and we talked about self-care today, but maybe they'll be on another one.
Yeah, well, and they're recording it, so
Awesome.
it'll be available on the website, so maybe they can find it later.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's such a treat.
Sure, good. Thank you for saying so. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with our practice then. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. I'll do that now. And I'm going to play music. I like to have it silent when I meditate, but I know music can really help other people focus, and I enjoy it too. And then I'll just give you a few reminders, and then I'll be quiet for the remainder of the 5 minutes. So first, be sure to get into a comfortable position. Remember, your back should be straight and your torso should be relaxed. You may want to check in with your back occasionally as you meditate. And then either close your eyes or focus your eyes downward about 4 to 6 feet in front of you. I recommend turning away from the computer screen if your eyes will be open. Your hands should be resting lightly on your thighs with the palms down and relaxed. Okay, now turn your attention to your breath. As you inhale, feel your belly rise. As you exhale, feel your belly fall. You may want to focus on the breath passing through your nose or through your throat, or you can just focus on your belly. Now, thoughts will occur to you. Remember to let the thought pass through your mind and return your focus to your breath. You can think of thoughts as cars passing on the road or debris floating down a river. You can also label thoughts and feelings before allowing them to pass. Allow the thoughts to pass and return your attention to your breath. Feel your belly rise and fall with your breath. So now I'll be quiet for the rest of the time. Okay, that was about 5 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed the meditation. I'd like to take a couple minutes now to journal. Uh, so you can just think about these questions, or you can think about your own ideas, or you can write them down. Um, so yeah, please consider writing about or thinking about any of these questions. So first, just how do you feel? Um, did any insights occur to you during the meditation? Do you plan to start meditating? If you do, what's your plan? You could write or think a little bit about what your plan is, like when in the day are you going to meditate? And then also consider including a note about how you will carry positive feelings throughout the rest of your day. Yeah, so I'll give you about a minute to think or write. Okay, so I have a few more things that I want to share with you, but first I wanted to give you a chance to share if you were interested. Um, hi.
I'll go. Hey, Cayman.
Hi.
Hi, friend. Matt, thank you so much for leading us through that. I wrote that I feel noticeably more relaxed. And what stays with me is that the idea that it's nice to be in my body. Just because we're kind of living and moving around the world doesn't mean that we're in our bodies. So it's really nice to be able to take time to actually be in my body and also be in time and in space and
Yeah,
not just moving ahead and living in next week,
right.
just even though the emails were like, I'm here, I'm an email, you're at your laptop, all you have to do is press the button, we're here. But even just being intentional about giving myself that time to be in my body felt really good. And I know that that is going to influence how I show up for others in the rest of my day, just my level of patience, my ability to be present for whatever conversation is going on. So certainly, thank you so much. That's what I got out of it. Thank you a lot.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad you got a lot out of it.
I think mine was similar. Just I wrote down 5 minutes goes a long way. And it just a little moment of calm and just reminded me to pause before responding to an email or colleague or coworker, just to take that minute to calm myself, and be more responsive rather than reactive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I really like the word pause. Just it's so easy to, as you said, to react without pausing, but that pause can mean so much in terms of connecting with others in a mindful way. Um, all right. So yeah, as I said, I just have a few other things I wanted to mention. In case you're interested in learning more, here's some books I can recommend. A lot of my ideas come from Pema Chodron's How to Meditate. It's a pretty easy title to remember. And then the workbook that I use with my daughter is just called Mindfulness Workbook for Kids ages 8 to 12. And then another book that I'm using to help with my daughter is called Planting Seeds, Practicing Mindfulness for Children by I think you pronounce his name Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese monk who lives in France. Yeah, I've found all of them to be very helpful. So I wanted to share, I wasn't sure I'd have time, but since we do have a few minutes left, I thought I'd share some ideas that I got directly from looking back through Pema Chodron's book. So first, she says it can be useful to check in with your body when you begin to meditate. So just kind of ask yourself, how are you feeling? You may notice pain or discomfort in different parts of your body. Are there any emotions? And remember, this is just when you're getting started meditating to kind of get your head in a good place. And she says to avoid getting caught up in the emotion, to just notice it and move on with your practice. Are there any physical sensations? Well, what are your thoughts like? Is your mind busy or calm? I've been noticing that my mind's been really busy lately. And so I've been really appreciating the meditation practice to help with that. She also describes a body scan, and it's I guess a little complicated, but and so I'm not going to get all into it. But basically, a body scan just involves bringing your attention to different parts of your body. So, like first you focus on your head, and then you move down to your neck and all throughout your body, and you just maybe spend a breath or two on focusing on each part of the body. And this is a great way to relax. And I've also read that that's a very helpful technique if you use meditation to sleep. It helps relax your body. Pema Chodron suggests meditating with open eyes. She says that the meditation that she's most interested in is about connecting us with the outside world. And she thinks closing the eyes kind of focuses us more on the interior, on our interior state. And she wants us to focus more outward. And so the eyes can do that. It also, if you try meditating with your eyes closed and you find yourself getting drowsy, it's a good idea to meditate with open eyes. And she also, I think it's interesting, she says that the reason we focus on the breath is that it's always changing, and life is also always changing. And so the changing nature of the breath helps us become prepared for the changing nature of life. She says that after you've practiced for a while, and I think she means like a few weeks or more, you can lighten your awareness of the breath and really start to focus and appreciate the present moment. One benefit of meditation is that it can provide insight when you're having an emotional reaction. Chodron suggests that we ask ourselves, how much of this is really happening on the outside and how much of it is happening in my head? One of the key things to keep in mind as you meditate and work on mindfulness is to approach yourself with gentleness. For example, if you have trouble focusing on your breath, try not to get frustrated. It really serves no purpose to get frustrated, and it will distract you further from what you're doing. So instead, just allow the thought or frustration to pass and return your attention to your breath. It's also important to be patient with yourself. You might have trouble focusing on your breath for days in a row, and it's easy to give up if this happens. However, if you stick with it, the focus will eventually come. Everyone who meditates has a different process for becoming comfortable with meditation and realizing its benefits. And then one other thing she mentions that I think is interesting is that she writes about using meditation to help you deal with painful memories. But that, of course, is a kind of complex process, so I'm not going to get into that. So that's all I had to share. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity and for joining us.